So last week, people have been, well, for the last couple weeks, I should say, people have been going on and onto the PTR for WoW. We are going to move on to WoW stuff now. They've been going on the PTR for WoW, and one person, this person, Azshara, Queen Azshara, which is kind of like Azshara, which is funny because we're going to be talking about Azshara. But anyways, she found this book, right? The book is called A Song of the Depths. And this book is very interesting. I have only read some of it. I skimmed it because I really wanted to read it and go over it on the podcast, but I didn't get to do it last week. So we're going to do it this week, and we're going to do it right fucking now. So we're going to read this. Let us read A Song of the Depths, which is a book that you can find in the Forbidden Reach when it is added in the next patch. Spoilers, by the way. It says, "Rise, rise. Our queen calls to us from beyond the umbral veil. She has transcended the circle of stars and basks in her eternal grandeur. The time we have long awaited is nigh. Even now the Harbinger gathers the children of the first flesh to reclaim what was lost. They must remember their vows and serve those whom they owe fealty." I read this. This is one of the only parts I actually read before I skimmed it. Now look. Now, obviously, right, it talks about our queen, so Azshara, and she's calling to us, which are, I'm going to assume, the Naga and all of Azshara's followers, from beyond the Umbral Veil. Now, the Umbral Veil, so in Shadowlands, right, the Veil of Death was broken, right? It was broken above Icecrown, just Icecrown, and that's how we got into the Shadowlands, right? Because the veil between our world and the reality of death kind of converged at this one point. Now, this implies that the Umbral Veil is the veil of the void, right? It is the veil that... It is the barrier between our world and the void, where the void lords are and all the bad shit. Now, a couple weeks ago, when I was saying how wrong I was about Xalatoth and all this shit, this thing implies that Azshara, being as fucked and corrupted as she was, because she was technically transformed by old god juice on a level that was hardcore, right? She turned from an elf to a fish. She was fucking really into the void. Her ass is beyond the Umbral Veil. Now, this implies that when you die as a servant of the void, or as an old god or something, you go beyond the Umbral Veil, kind of like how us mortals, we go to the Shadowlands. I think that's kind of what this implies, because if she's beyond the Umbral Veil, that means she's in the actual void itself, which means she probably died or something, you know? Basically became one with the void, right? Because it says transcended the circle of stars, which the circle of stars is the name of the last zone in the Eternal Palace, where we fight Azshara, and it's... Now, everybody kind of assumes that N'Zoth took Azshara, and then we find her later on in Ny'alotha, a patch later. But if you ask me, because I'm going to be that fucking guy, I talked about this before, where I was like, look, dude, everything we saw in Ny'alotha was anything that we could have seen in there wasn't real, wasn't fucking true. It was just whatever N'Zoth wanted us to see. That's the whole point of Ny'alotha. Wrathion tells us, he's like, hey bro, don't trust your fucking eyes in here, because, you know, we cannot trust what we see, for N'Zoth controls what we see. Now, in Ny'alotha, when we fight one of the bosses, I don't remember her name, I always forget her name, we free Azshara, and she just randomly just gives us Xalatoth, and then she poofs from existence. Now, I had the theory all that time ago that, well, how the fuck do we know that that's actually Azshara? You know what I mean? Like, how do we know that the Azshara that is taken in the Circle of Stars is the same Azshara we see in Ny'alotha? Because Ny'alotha is all it's basically bullshit. It is all a fabrication. It is a creation of a god. He is showing us what the Black Empire was like. He's showing us everything inside. He's showing us his own death. He's showing us everything. He's showing us what Wrathion could be, since Wrathion was the first boss. Why can't it be then that he's also showing us a bullshit Azshara, which is kind of plays into the whole idea that N'Zoth knows how he dies because of what happens in Dragonflight, and so this was all a part of his plan to go into the dagger or to escape and away from us, so that we kind of fuck off and don't pay attention to him, so that he can enact evil schemes. Because this book kind of further implies it, because if she's beyond the veil, she's probably dead or with the void, and if she's calling, that means that, like, she's probably fucking there, bro. She's probably not here on Azeroth somewhere hiding out. She's not in Ny'alotha. Anyways. Part 2. Part 2 says, while they toil in the deep places, we will journey to the shores of Dragonlands, to the blessed isle where the Worldbreaker first embraced the Whispers. As one storm recedes, another rises. The torches have been lit. The secrets he buried will strike as a dagger into the hearts of his kin. Bro, there's so much. There's so much here. There's so much from this. So, while they toil in the deep places, obviously they is us. We are they. We are they. What is the deep places? Something that has been data mined. That was data mined a long ass fucking time ago. It's just a map file, and it references 10.1. So the next major patch for Dragonflight. It references going underground. And as we know, at the end of Vault of the Incarnates, all the other primal incarnates are all released. They all break free, right? Finally, Razageth does her deed. She dies, but all of her kin are free to cause mayhem. The next one we are going after is Iridikron, or Iridikron, however the hell you say his name. He is the Earth Dragon, right? He is the Earth Proto-Dragon that is most invested in Earth, kind of like how Razageth was Thunder. So, or well, I guess more accurately it'd probably be Storm, or Air, or whatever. But that's besides the point. Anyways, Iridikron, his whole thing is Earth, right? And if we're going to fight him next, it's obvious that we're probably going to be going underground to do it. And this references that while we're fucking around underground, that the Naga or Azshara's followers or whoever, they're going to go to the shores of Dragonland. So they're going to head to the Dragon Isles, and they're going to go to the place where the Worldbreaker first embraced the Whisper. So the Worldbreaker is obviously Deathwing, and I assume that what they mean by this is that they're going to the one place we saw in the Legacy cinematic where they're fighting, where the Drakthir and Neltharion are fighting the Primal Incarnates, and they're losing, and they're fucking losing, and so Deathwing is like, well, Neltharion at the time, he's like, all right, fuck it, I gotta embrace the void that's been whispering to me this whole time, so that we can win the battle, and so just kind of like Arthas, he basically sacrifices his free will to do anything for his people, dragonkind, to save them from the from the primal incarnates, and he gives in to the void. He embraces the whispers, and then from there he goes fucking crazy. Also, the torches have been lit. What is this referencing? The fucking... How many Dragonflights are there? There's red, there's green, there's black, there's bronze, there's blue. There's 5. How many of those little way shrines, the little life shrines things, did we light? Well, we lit the red, we lit the black, we lit the green, the blue, and then the bronze. We lit 5. The torches have been lit. Now look, whatever the fuck's going on here, I don't know if they're gonna try to use... Actually, no, that's probably a really good theory. So Azshara is trapped beyond the Umbral Veil. She was probably put there by N'Zoth or whoever. She's stuck there, or her spirit is, or whatever, because she might be dead. Basically, we know all it takes to break one of these veils is artifacts of insane fucking power, right? The Helm of Domination is one, right? Sylvanas fucking ripped apart the Helm of Domination. What happened? It shattered the barrier between realities. So, if we're going to use the power of the aspects, which is the whole fucking reason we're on the Dragon Isles, we are helping the aspects reclaim their aspectral power to begin anew the Age of Dragons, and they can protect Azeroth. What if instead of using the power, like, what if instead of them being imbued with the power of the Titanic Watchers, or, well, just the Titans, I guess, instead of being imbued with the power of the Titans again, what if they just use the power of the Titans to just rip apart the fucking veil between the void and the and our reality, which, by the fucking way, is the entire reason the old gods exist. The old gods exist for one fucking purpose. They exist to corrupt a Titan spirit. Basically, what happens is that the Void Lords, they shoot these little ass parasites all over the fucking universe, and they hit these planets, or they don't hit anything. They hit these planets, and they're hoping that one would be lucky enough to corrupt a Titan spirit. And if they corrupt the Titan spirit, and that Titan is born corrupted, that Titan has the power to then go and rip down the fucking veils between reality, and the void can consume everything. This is exactly what they're doing. Because if we're going to say that the reignition of the aspect's power is going to be related to the Titans, you then assume that then, hey, it's the power of the Titans, and that the servants of Azshara or of the Void, they're going to rip down the fucking veil, and we're going to have to contend with Void Lords. They also mentioned a dagger, which is funny, because Xalatoth is a dagger. That's really all I got on that one. But this, the torches have been lit, is very fucking interesting. And it could very well play into... So, anybody who is familiar with the lore knows that eventually, one day, far into the future, not, well, at the time, which was back a couple expansions ago, well, not a couple, probably almost 5, good old Nozdormu would eventually one day succumb to the whispers of the old gods, and they will trick him into trying to prevent his own death, which would then create the infinite Dragonflight. Now, I'm gonna go fucking crazy with this right quick, right? So, what if that happens in Dragonflight? What if we go down to the deep places, and while we're fucking around down there, you know, all the dragon aspects come with us or something. Nozdormu comes with us because he is the most important. And I'm gonna pull up the fucking map again. Let me pull up the fucking map. So Something that I talked about a very long time ago. There it is. We're pulling up 2 maps. We're pulling up both of them. Let's get in here. So, here is ancient Kalimdor. It's a nice place. Not really. It sucks. Why does it suck? Well, here's the fucking thing. This is Kalimdor after it was ordered, right? Here are the old gods. So, got N'Zoth, you got Yogg-Saron. Those are the 2 you need to be fucking looking at. Now, here is the map of what is essentially present day Azeroth. Like right after it was sundered. It hasn't changed that much, so we can use it. But so Yogg-Saron is imprisoned in Ulduar. N'Zoth is imprisoned around what would eventually be the Maelstrom around the oceans in Nazjatar. He is basically around here. But N'Zoth's territory, it encompasses all of the eastern... It encompasses all of this. And Yogg-Saron's territory encompassed all of this. What is right here in the North Sea? The Dragon Isles. How deep do those fucking old god prisons go? Real fucking deep. What has been referenced multiple times by all the old gods? The deep places. You see where I'm getting at here? We are going to find some shit underneath the Dragon Isles. It's going to have some old god stuff. N'Zoth is out of his jail, right? N'Zoth is irrelevant. He is probably in the dagger. But Yogg-Saron, we know for a fucking fact that he is still active. Right? We know that because in Legion, when we go to Ulduar to research the Pillars of Creation so that we could, close the Tomb of Sargeras, he's still there. He's still fucking around with all the Titanic Keepers. He's still alive. We just kind of pushed him back down into his prison. But the little part that we pushed out is like a pimple compared to how big he actually fucking is, right? He's a big-ass parasite. So he probably has reaches over here in the North Sea, which then are in and to the Dragon Isles. And what is underneath the Dragon Isles. And so it's very possible that Yogg-Saron is going to do some shit and fuck with Nozdormu, and is going to cause Nozdormu to prevent his own death, maybe at the hands of Iridikron, maybe another thing, don't really know. But this will then create the infinite Dragonflight, which would then cause that whole thing to happen. He would basically almost corrupt and betray Nozdormu. Well, force Nozdormu to be corrupted and betray us, I should say. And another idea is maybe in order to prevent... I don't know how deep the connection is, but I know that the dragons are very much connected to the Dragon Isles, so it's very possible that the remaining dragon aspects are all destined to die when the followers of Azshara... I'm just spitballing, but... maybe when the followers of Azshara, they use the powers of the Life Shrine and Tearhold and all that to rip open the veil to the void. Maybe Nozdormu has to prevent that, and so he basically fulfills the prophecy of he is preventing his own death, because if he doesn't, he and everybody else dies. But if he prevents this from happening, he still gets corrupted, but everybody else is saved. You know what I mean? So he kind of has that hero sacrifice. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Anyways, as I was saying, let's get back to this book, because there is still more to talk about here. Here you go. Number 3, the Harbinger speaks of a primal power that seeks the end of order. Such rage can be bent to serve our ends. A hunger lost to the ages will be reclaimed. A dark heart left broken awaits the taking. That sounds like Yasharaj. You know what I mean? Like that, like that really. So, Yasharaj, he is basically in pieces, right? He was ripped from the fucking planet, and they reference a dark heart. Now, the only other thing in the actual Old God lore that has ever been referenced as a dark heart is the dark heart of Yasharaj, which is the artifact that, at the end of Mop, was basically drained of his power, and Yasharaj was practically like gone for good. It was, in terms, left broken. I don't know where they put that heart, but maybe what they're going to do is they're going to take this power of the Titans, they're going to put it into the dark heart left by Yasharaj, and then they're going to fucking use it to break down the veil. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I hope it does. Alright, and here is the last one. Here it is. When these things come to pass, the Harbinger will fulfill the final prophecy and complete the awakening. Only then shall our Queen return to reign over sea and sky and earth. We must make ready. Rise, rise, soon all that was hidden will be revealed. This makes it sound like, over the course of the last little while, like, Azshara's agents and the agents of the old gods have kind of been, like, up in our shit, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Honestly, like, this last part, you kind of like, basically, it is what I've been saying, right? They're gonna tear down the veil between realities, and they're going to then get Queen Azshara back. But the problem is that by doing that, they are fulfilling the actual directive of the old gods, and the Void Lords are gonna come on through and fuck everything up. Now, here's another thought I just had. They are talking about, so in the first little thing here, it talks about how Queen Azshara is calling them from beyond the umbral veil. Well, like with Nyalotha, what if that's not Queen Azshara calling? What if this is actually just the Void whispering to all these different followers of the Void, and they are like, "Hey, it's me, your queen. You should do this," because they're actually trying to fulfill their objective. It could also just be fucking N'Zoth, right? Because here's another thing too, right? If N'Zoth is within Xalatoth, if when Wrathion plunged that fucking blade into N'Zoth's carapace, right, and it absorbed N'Zoth's being, or a part of it, right, then that would then mean that he is there and active within the blade, and after he kind of does this, the blade disappears completely from Wrathion's side, right? It is gone completely. So maybe this Harbinger, maybe he has the blade, and this blade, this Xalatoth, right, that has N'Zoth, is basically whispering to the Harbinger and telling them to do all this stuff, because if they do this, well, they succeed in their mission, right? They succeed in destroying the umbral veil, and the Void wins, right? Which, if that happens, then the light is going to be like, oh, hell fucking no, and all of fucking existence is going to become this big ass, like, holy war between the light and the Void. Like, literal, like, light lords versus Void lords, and we're going to be caught right in the fucking middle because the breach has been made on Azeroth.